Okay. Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast, and you're tuned to season 5 and another episode here tonight. Before we get started, this episode is sponsored by Salsa Radio, where you can listen to this interview live in high quality. As well, you can watch this on YouTube, Facebook, and also this will be streamed and put out on other streaming platforms as well. Salsa Radio is working with the Wounded Warriors Project, and we have new merchandise out. 10% of all profits are going to the Wounded Warriors Project, everyone. Yes, we are giving back to the community. And everyone, tonight, we are all here. And I'm so thankful and pleased to announce that here tonight, we have a very special guest all the way from the St. Louis area, the one and only Miss Carmen Guynn. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Carmen. It's as we've talked privately, as I've told you, I'm so thankful to have this opportunity. A woman such as yourself with so much history in St. Louis and your impact and contribution to the community, but the dance community as a whole, it's really an honor to have you here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. I thank you so much for inviting me to be on your show.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, like I've told you as well, all of my guests, I wanted to have a platform as a former dancer, performer, and professional, realizing that not many platforms were given to artists like us to really just speak our truth beyond what we do just on a dance stage, but being able to understand the artist even more deeper. I mean, tonight, I think we're going to really get a chance to understand yourself, your experiences, your journey, and really celebrating your overall success.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even before we get started, for me, especially, now we talked as well, when I started doing this podcast and I was talking to specific artists, even privately, I would always ask them, who is someone that I can speak to? Who is someone that you would love for me to talk to? And your name came up a lot. But then I realized as a dancer from the East Coast, seeing Congress flyers throughout the years, I've seen the St. Louis Congress flyers for years. And now putting the pieces to the puzzle, realizing you and your importance and your role in this is immense. I mean, being the executive producer, the promoter, and we're going to get into it of how you really brought this amazing event to life from the beginning, even back from 2010. But Carmen, especially on this podcast, we love starting all the way from the beginning and understanding the artist before they started this dance journey. So, Carmen, take it away.
Oh boy. I don't even know where to begin on that one. I am born and raised in St. Louis, from St. Louis. So I'm excited to be and proud to be a St. Louisan, a native. Um, I started dancing when I was a child. My sister and I would, come up with routines and just do fun stuff. And so we would we would do that. And my love for dance, I actually have a minor in dance. My undergrad degree is in biology. So I had my first love was to become a doctor. When we moving forward from there, but before dancing, it was actually basketball. So I was a star athlete in high school and in college.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that, and dance. I was like, well, I need to minor in something, and I do like to dance. And my sister and I did our thing, so I did do that. Salsa came into the scene after I graduated from college.
Hmm.
So it honed in on someone actually taking me to dance for my, I think it was 20, I want to say 23rd birthday. I'm dating myself now. And I knew the music because like I shared with you a little before, my uncles were just avid Latin jazz and jazz enthusiasts and Latin salsa and Latin music enthusiasts. So I'm so familiar with music in general. But when I went to the club here, I was hooked. And the club was brand new. It was about a year old. So St. Louis was very new on the scene to what salsa looked like. And people didn't have a set style here. We we were kind of just dancing, and it was just something fun to do. And at that time, the owner was good friends with Abel Pena, and we Abel would come to St. Louis from time to time and do shows and do workshops, and so we really adopted here in St. Louis the on one LA style of dancing, and so that's kind of my beginning of where. So I've been friends with the Bell for forever. He's really a great person. And then from there, honestly, the owner and I did a few things. We and he was like, Carmen, you know what? Why don't you learn how to teach? Because you're a great dancer. Just learn how to teach. And I never thought that. I never thought that I could do that or even had that in mind. I just thought it was something fun to go do. And so I spent some time out in LA with Josie Neglia, and was trained underneath her to teach. And that was the best thing that could have, I feel, happened to me. Because not so much that I wanted to be, some type of grandiose star, but I just saw how it allowed people to do something that they never thought that they could do.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's amazing too. Kind of that story of many people who go on to have these careers. A lot of times it's someone else seeing something within ourselves that we didn't see. And I noticed that a lot because I think too, and I've talked to many guests as well, that we are our worst critics. Most of the time, we're criticizing and putting ourselves down before anyone else. And to hear also about your, basketball career, especially, what position did you play?
I was a point guard
Oh,
in college. So yeah, I can hoop. Girl,
okay.
skills.
And it's also amazing.
Back then, I don't know how I haven't picked up a ball in almost 20 years, but then I had some skills.
Wow. That's dope. I'm a very avid basketball fan. So.
Really? Well, I'm going to tell you a known fact. My second cousin was JoJo White, who played for the Boston Celtics. So I don't know if you know who a lot of people are not familiar with him, but he played in the 70s, so it was a while ago. But yeah. So it runs in the family a little bit.
And then also talking about with salsa in that scene of, because most people understand in terms of the salsa scene the LA style on one, East Coast and New York specifically onto that kind of has been those styles for so many years. And as you're saying, people coming from elsewhere kind of inspiring this type of style, evidently for people, they're searching for some things, really instruction. Because when there's no instruction, things are just all over. But then having artists that more cater to that style, that's where you kind of see the shift. That's where you see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a question now that I have, you kind of being new into this, what were those experiences like in the beginning for you, kind of going to these salsa gatherings and events?
Yeah, well, like I was sharing with you before, St. Louis just had a different look because we were still very new, and like I said, all over the place with our style. Matter of fact, if we traveled somewhere, people were like, "Well, where are you? Where I don't even recognize the style. Where are you from?" But and then they were like, "St. Louis, I didn't even know they danced in St. Louis." We had a different scene, and we taught ourselves, and our link was a bell that came in and taught us some things. And so Um, for me, what I've noticed, I was almost we weren't there wasn't a growth level, or there wasn't an opportunity for me to partner or dance with anyone. So I took it upon myself to start traveling, and I traveled
Mm.
to different cities, and that's when I started traveling to New York, and I started traveling to Miami, and this was early in the game, and so I would come back to St. Louis, and people were like, well, where's she, she's getting this,
Yeah, where are you
where's
getting this
she,
stuff from?
you're right, and so it was I did not let the fact that I didn't have a partner, or people didn't want to dance me at that moment,
Yeah.
stop from wanting to move forward in my dancing, or just learning more, or as much as I could. So
Wow.
yeah, it was an interesting ride there.
No, I agree because something you just talked about. I actually have a friend that is coming on the platform soon, and that exact story of kind of being from an area that you said the scene is kind of fresh, so the area for growth and progression is limited at that point. So you take it upon yourself to go to the certain cities that you know you're going to learn, and you know you're going to get that instruction, but that vibe, that
Mhm.
atmosphere, and then you're kind of bringing it back to your area. But people are saying, "Where are you learning this from?" And
Mhm.
this helps people understand there's a world outside of your world that you can learn so much. And I think traveling is an amazing asset. I mean, being able to travel, having, I mean, because it costs money. We know. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
coming to New York, and that's amazing. How was those experiences of going to New York dancing?
Yeah, it was new to me and very different, because that's where I learned the on to style. When I went up to New York, um, trained not under Frankie Martinez. I've never had an opportunity to meet Frankie Martinez, but
Mm.
I worked with Frankie Kumano, and Frankie Kumano was a student of and on Frankie Martinez dance company for a while.
Mm.
So was able to work with him back then during that time. So that was just an interesting viewpoint of learning. Um, I did feel displaced, but I felt displaced in St. Louis too.
Mm.
So and feeling displaced to me did not, like I said, stop me from wanting to learn or to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was to get good, become the best that I could be in dance. So I never allowed that to stop me.
I mean, just coming from the place where you're from, and now kind of bringing all of that knowledge that you're soaking in from these different places that you're traveling to. When could you say that you saw in your city that maybe there was more attraction, there was things were starting to blossom in a sense for St. Louis?
Oh wow. I really wouldn't say, maybe 12 years ago. I don't,
Mm.
it still was that fresh, and St. Louis was still in its own area, its own little cubby hole, so
Yeah.
to its own little space. And I did not see the true growth, honestly, until really maybe a year before I started the Congress, the St. Louis Congress.
So you're saying around 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. And
Mm-hmm.
and when you say it like that, for many people, because like you said, with a brand new kind of scene, people also have to understand. Even pre-COVID, there are dancers that have no idea what the scene was like pre 2010, and realizing that was when social media just started blossoming and things were getting grooving. It's definitely not like now where things are more accessible. I mean,
I
when
was, I was talking to someone just today. We That was when iMambo TV was out. Okay,
oh man,
we're going we're going back
oh yeah,
at where we're trying to look look
yeah,
up stuff. Watching Magna Gopal and on the
oh my god,
that's how
I'm,
far back that rolls for us. There wasn't YouTube, there wasn't
mm-mm,
Instagram, there wasn't any of that. And so for an artist like myself, coming from an area that's very brand new, you
yeah,
know, I'm searching, constantly searching on where do I learn more? How do I get to know more? So my research was very extensive, and then for me, not just the dance,
hmm
I'm also learning the history. So
yeah,
when I start to really understand and learn the history about salsa and bachata, then I realize that I'm really hugely part of this conversation that we have here. So it's yeah, it's I'm on TV. I just we going we're going back there on that.
we're gonna go iMambo TV. We're gonna go Nuevo Tech. We're gonna go.
Yeah,
If you came to New York, you had to go to salsanewyork.com to see the schedule of
yes.
all the
See the
socials happening.
schedule.
Yes.
I would make sure my trips were around Jimmy Anton's
Mhm.
social.
Oh,
Yeah, all that.
man. And see, and realizing big shout out to Jimmy Anton, who actually in New York had the longest running social, and realizing like how much influence. There's just certain places where people go to in certain cities that are just known. St. Louis was the St.
Mm-hmm.
Louis International Salsa Congress, which we'll get into right now. So you talking earlier about around 2009, right before you started this event. And what was that process like? Or how did it come about for you to say, hey, I want to start this St. Louis International Salsa Congress?
Mm-mm-mm. The biggest thing was the fact that I was not being um, accepted on many stages. So I probably never would have even started the Congress if I was performing and traveling the way I would have liked to have been. We've got on a few stages, but at that time we had to actually audition. It wasn't that easy to get on stages. We really had to audition. Um, and the thing that bothered me the most was the fact that it was, I believe that it was a certain look that the stages wanted. It wasn't necessarily my look, and so we were blocked from a lot of stages back then. So I said, you know what? I've never been one to sit down, so I will create my own. And so I really went to different congresses, watched, studied, um, and having an engineer background. Honestly, I just really strategically worked out what I needed to do to create a Congress. So the Congress for St. Louis was not just something that I just said, yeah, I'm going to go do. I thought about that for years. It was definitely something that I wanted to bring to the city here, for two reasons: because it would give me an opportunity to perform, but then also it would bring something cultural to the city as well.
Mhm.
That's kind of how it got started.
Wow. And realizing something you said it's really important of not being allowed to get on these stages and having that experience. For me, also realizing a lot of these Congress events had specifications, quote unquote, on what they wanted to see. And representation wasn't as it is now, or even close to it. I've been victim to it. I've heard the comments, I've heard everything. So I've been through those moments of promoters and their type of dancers that they want. And I think
Mhm.
as well, especially over the years, just with evolution and people really talking about their experiences and speaking up about it is something that's very important, whether it's colorism, sexism, everything that goes
Mhm.
involved, because there have been so many answered topics or many
Mhm.
topics that people deem taboo to even speak on because, oh, it happened years ago, things are different. But no, those same promoters are still around, those same organizers are still around. And people like yourself taking it upon yourself to create something as well as being able to perform on that stage, now allowing artists of all backgrounds to participate so they can
Mhm.
feel comfortable and have what you would call a safe space.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was truly important to me. That we just from living through that and experiencing that, we were the ladies team, because we I didn't have a partner, um, but I had a ladies dance group, and we were the first all black females that you would ever see on stage. And so we were able to, we did perform in Chicago. I coerced Choco at the time to for us to perform in New York.
Hmm.
But it was very rare that we got an opportunity. And I applied at that time everywhere and all over the place. But it was very rare that we got an opportunity to perform. And I wanted people to see that, yeah, there are black girls that do perform.
Yes.
We're here. We can dance, and we are performers, and we're performing. So I wanted the ladies that I worked with to have that opportunity, but for myself as well, that we're here live and kicking, and
Oh
we
yeah.
sing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what for me is so important hearing is about the topic of representation, of saying you and women of color are putting together a project that you want to share just like every other company or group that wants to perform, but these promoters and organizers not giving you that opportunity. And realizing also, like I've talked to Courtney Matthews from Nashville, Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
and we talking about this and understanding, like, yes, this has always been a problem. Even the questions of why do you dance or why are you here, questioning my validity in what I do. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had those questions myself. People, the first thing they ask me is not how I'm doing, but where I'm from. That's the first
Mm-hmm.
thing that, and it's very curious to understand people's reasoning, questioning a woman who is black coming into a predominantly quote unquote Latin culture, Latin space and performing, whether you're performing or social dancing, I think there's no need for questioning the reasoning.
Mm-hmm. You would think that, though, Diamond.
Absolutely.
You would think that, because you can't talk about Latin music and Latin dance without the Afro.
Thank you.
Let's just be real about it. You know,
Absolutely.
you can't. So there's when I learned more about when my like I shared with you before, my uncles being avid salsa musicians and stuff. I learned more about who I was in this.
Hmm.
So it's valid for me to be at this table. It's valid for anyone of color to be at the table, because
Absolutely.
just as much a part of it as anybody else. And for whatever reason or another, why we aren't represented, that's what needs to be dealt with. And the interesting thing about it is that, um, you know, I haven't really, since I've been doing the Congress, I haven't performed or been able to travel as much as I would have liked to. And so within those 12 years, I'm seeing the same situation with the
Hmm.
young generation of women that are coming up, and I'm like, whoa, I dealt with this back
Yeah.
then. And it's still going on. So it's a very valid conversation that needs to be open and honest right now. There's our bills need to see more diversity in people of color, and uh, gender, you know identities, however you want to say it, we need to see more of it.
Yeah, because it's so much
Super
about
important.
talk. Yeah, so much just about talking about it, but actually having the inclusivity shown. That's what's important because we can talk about the changes we want to do, but if we don't make those
Mhm.
changes, it's almost a waste of time. But now, I would
Absolutely.
love to know is when you were starting the St. Louis International Salsa Congress in 2010, what were those initial years like? Because from being just a novice dancer to learning year after year to having the opportunity to teach, now being a owner of an event and kind of transitioning into that role, what were those initial years like for you?
Hmm. Um, everything that I've done, I've always had intention about it. Um, I also always have been strategic about what I'm doing. Um, I realized at that time that all odds were against me. I realized that people in St. Louis would laugh at the idea. I knew that I had being a female. Um, being a female would would weigh in some way because even now there aren't very many females that are promoters and producers of a congress or festival. Um, and then being a black female at that, I knew that that was very another added value. So I thought about things strategically, and when I went to different people for the idea and to get sponsors in the area, nobody wanted to support it. Nobody believed in it.
Mm,
Um, but I knew that it was something that the city needed, and I knew that it was something that I needed, but
mm.
then also the dance community needed here.
Yeah.
And so I really worked hard with the classes that I had,
Hmm.
and I was an engineer, so I saved what I needed to save to make that thing come into fruition. Um, I was blessed to have many dancers that I have met over the years of my travel be on
Hmm.
my side. They thought I was crazy at first because they like, you really want to do this, Car? Andy was one of them. Like, okay, Carm, you really want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I think I can. But I had just amazing support from Anna and Joelle at that time, and Troy and Georgette and Arlette and Carla.
Hmm.
I just had and Andy. I had a lot of support from those artists to pull it off. And usually once you make past 5 years, you know
Hmm.
you got something solid going on. But yeah, it was an obstacle because people just did not take me seriously or valued it because it was possibly coming from me. So yeah, it was definitely a road.
Yeah, I mean, because many people would think it's like the fairy tale of everything falls into place for you to have this, but no, it's not like that a lot. And many artists that I've talked to have told me the same thing. Speaking of some artists that come from the countryside, maybe on the other side of the world, hoping to make it and realizing that yourself making that sacrifice, because it is really a sacrifice at some point of
Mhm.
take you're really catering to the masses and making sure they're happy, especially when you have a brand that is catered
Mhm.
to the community. Because, like you said, at one point, St. Louis was a very small scene. And what happens
Mhm.
in many scenes is it starts to grow, it starts to build, but evidently those cities are looking soon for a venue or event or whatever have you, that an event that people can say, when I go to St. Louis, this is where you go.
Mhm.
And for you to have it be a salsa congress on top of that, I think that's amazing because with salsa, people have to understand. If you're not really into the dance scene like that, people just hear on one, on two. The outside world sees movies. They see the Dance with Me's. They see all of these mainstream movies, the Dancing with the Stars, may have you, and they have a preconceived notion of that. But most of the time, it's not like that. I mean, you're dealing with real world people who have real world problems, and they're thankfully they can get off of work on a weekend to all connect with one another and just have fun. And that's something I've wanted to always ask a lot of artists, and I do, is what would those experiences like for you, or what were memorable experiences being, like you said, being the really the owner, executive producer of a Congress? What were those experiences like socializing and networking with other artists?
Really great because they were they were my friends, especially in the way to get. I mean, even now, I mean, they were my friends. They were people that really cared about me as a person, and they've known me throughout the years. No, it's so funny because when I traveled, no one really knew who I was, but they just knew this cool, black chick that wore the fedora with the hat tilt to the side. You only saw one eye. She can dance.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it was. But like I said, I met just some amazing artists, and they got to know me as a person and really cared about what I was doing and what I stood for, and was willing to just be like, hey, check this out. Well, let's put this together and let's do this. And so those years and those friendships that I built were amazing and comforting, and they would say, okay, well, you need to meet such and such because they can bring this to look at that him right there.
Mike,
Him right there. I let me pin Mike. I gotta share some stuff about Mike. But they were like, well, yeah, invite this person because they will help, they will bring this. And I just, it's my friendship built with a lot of artists during that time, and we just became really good friends. I remember the first Congress that I did. We actually had, was that the second year? We had La Excelencia. No, that was who was the first year? No, yeah, it was La Excelencia that we brought first year, and the room was packed. And my brother pulled me over to the side and said, Carmen, you did it. This is an amazing thing that you've done for the city and for that. So he was like, take a moment to take it in. And I think I don't know if I was really overwhelmed, but it just was an amazing sight to see what just took place in a city that you never would have thought that dance would, salsa in particular, would even be in the city.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely, because it's a different experience when, like you said, coming from your city where there's a small community and seeing it build. It's a whole different experience when you're at an event that's really successful for your city, but you're the one that put it together. And you're now, because what happens is, and I've talked to many people, and it happens a lot throughout our dance journey and experiences, we're kind of just going and moving along as it goes. We don't have that time to kind of decompress and see everything we've been able to do. It's kind of on to the next. So
Mm-hmm.
having someone, and like I said, it takes someone else to show you what you've been missing or what you're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing, because as I could understand, I've worked with promoters and organizers at congresses. You're running everywhere, making sure everyone's good, making sure everything's set up correctly. And it's hard for you to kind of get those moments to just relax. And
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
speaking to a woman like yourself. And I think that's what's also important, that in a world like this, that some people can say is more male dominated, having a woman like yourself taking that initiative of creating something. And like you said, at one point, at those points early on, you didn't have people that supported you. And that's a honest answer because especially people are scared of the unknown, not understanding that if you just give someone a chance like yourself and seeing what you can do with it, and when you do it from a place of love rather
Mhm,
than focusing on the financial gain, that's where the real reward comes in.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. It was a very different journey.
I mean,
Very different journey.
like we've talked as well, I had to do some of my own research and seeing that you did a. I love that you talk. Speaking about the fedora, this a routine I saw about 2012. Uh, to Notorious B.I.G. added in with some little Latin, a little Latin music on top of that. I mean, for me, I love the creativity of stepping outside the box and realizing with music you can do anything. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, especially when people are scared to step out of their norm, you're never gonna be able to grow. So,
Yeah.
with the St. Louis International Salsa Congress going over the years, and like you said, in like 5 years, for most people, that's really where you're gonna understand where you're going. And me talking to organizers and promoters, you're most of the time when you're having an event in the early years, the loss is much more quicker than the gain.
Mhm.
It really depends also on the community. So, was there a point where you kind of saw your community now was backing you?
I'm going to say in 2017.
Mm. So, going from 2010 to about 2017, 2017 was the time that you really felt then, wow, my community actually believes in what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Wow. And I love the honesty because unfortunately, more people want to see, as they say, the car crash instead of the person being saved in a sense. And it's an
Uh,
unfortunate reality.
okay, I'm gonna do like how we do on our show now.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, especially coming from New York, you've been in New York. You've been to so many socials probably out there or you know of, and you realize there are very few events that actually are consistently relevant.
Mhm.
There are socials that can last 1 to 3 years, maybe 5 years, but there are very few, just like Jimmy Anton's. That's been longevity is key, and
Mhm.
realizing that, like you said, in a city like where you're from, that is not really a big culture of that, or people. There wasn't like L.A. and New York that's been going on
Mhm.
20, 30 plus years. People
Mhm.
are, curious to see where it's headed.
Mhm.
And just seeing a woman like yourself who really is taking that step forward of creating something that invites everyone. I mean, like you said, you were inviting artists not just from this where you were from, but elsewhere, because that also helps bring attention to your city,
Mhm.
and just seeing overall, especially on the East Coast, me hearing about your event for so many years, friends of mine going there and realizing, yeah, you are giving a huge, or you're having a huge impact on the dance community. I mean,
Mm.
you being able to have so many acts from all over the world and just seeing people, I think, having a great time. I think that's what's amazing. And you're giving back to your community. I mean, like you said, if you didn't do it, who would?
Yeah. That's, absolutely.
Because,
Absolutely.
if you didn't have
Um,
it in 2010, who else really would be doing that?
it
And
wouldn't have, it wouldn't have been. It definitely it was missed this past year, with everything going up. But I am grateful. I'm really grateful that that we were able to hit 10 years in 2019, and that was a beautiful experience to be able to say that you've been doing something for 10 years. That milestone was impactful for me and my family. When I talk about my backbone, that my family has been it. My mother, my father, my sister, and my brother come in from out of town, and they have been there every step of the way, from the very first one to 2010. So it was or 2019. So
Yeah.
it was great to be able to celebrate 10 years and just look back at all those
Yeah.
years doing that.
Absolutely. So, kind of fast forwarding, and right before COVID, many guests have told me, most of them were planning to go to the next social events during that time in March, and then realizing from one day to another, everything changes. Our cities don't have the socials anymore. We're not able to reach out or see in person the same people we were used to seeing at parties and events before. So, my question really is, when COVID hit and it really affected all of the states, mainly at one point, what was it like for you over that time of seeing, like, what did you feel was happening with your dance community?
Everything was just shut down. And I feel that for St. Louis that people were anxious, which I think that people were anxious all over to get out there and start dancing again. But there wasn't any transition to anything else. And the first thing I started thinking was, okay, well, we just do this online. I'm just going, that was the very first thing when they told us we had to shut everything down. It's like, yeah, well, we'll go online, classes online. And, the St. Louis Congress was further out in it, out in a year that I could kind of play things by ear to kind of see where we were, I didn't really take a huge loss. I didn't really take a loss, to be honest, because I just was able to kind of see where we were from last year at this point,
Yeah.
October, and kind of make plans from there and what I wanted to do.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was very blessed that I didn't. It didn't hurt me at all in
No,
any way.
that's amazing to hear. And also, like you said, the ability that your event was already in October rather than it be in March or April,
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
close by. Because we realized too, I think with COVID, it really showed the vulnerability of a lot of the
Absolutely.
directors and organizers and dancers. Because from the organizing standpoint, you can't really run events right now, and they're kind of running rampant to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Even with dancers, the ones that were so used to traveling, there's so many people that I've talked to saying they were used to literally maybe coming home on a Wednesday, getting just relaxing for maybe 1 or 2 days and back out on a Friday. Their
Yeah.
normal
Yeah.
life was traveling, and that was literally it stopped. And I think also a big thing was mental health and realizing how many of our dancers mentally cope with
Mm-hmm.
so many things, and something for them like dance, which is really an escape from their reality,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It really did a lot for that. I actually did a piece during that time. Um, it was a COVID challenge. I don't know if
Mhm.
you really paid attention to it, but it, I put it out there because I wanted people to at least have something
Mhm.
there to look at or to try to challenge to dance to, because we were definitely at a time where, like you said, our a lot of people mental state was challenged because we weren't able to get out there and dance the way we would like to dance, so um, I am an introvert type person.
Mm.
It really didn't bother me that we were at home. It really was nice. And I'm also a person that's on the move all the time. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of sit back and just kind of reevaluate and rethink and spend time with family and just reflect on, like I said, the years that I've done as far as dance is concerned. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, even with your online classes and your work there as well, even Mike Bello here says, but I also knew that you created a great podcast for women of color in the salsa world. And that's something I've been seeing for the last few months. And I would
Mhm.
love for you to speak on that before we get to our exciting segment called The Randoms.
Well, let me just share, since you bring in Mike up, and
Hmm.
share a few things with Mike. What I loved about Mike Bello, I probably bugged the crap out of him everywhere I went. But he was always kind to me when I come up to his table and talk. And um, he was kind to me in a space that wasn't really accepting. And I would see Mike all over it, in LA, Chicago, New York, it didn't matter. But he would always share knowledge with me and always talk to me and dance. And I truly appreciate that. So, Mike, I love you. I learned so much about musicality and everything from him. So he's been such a huge part in my life and just a blessing. He doesn't realize that as much. But I really, he probably thought I liked him because I was I would always come up to him, but like I said, he was just truly kind and really took time to talk to me and learn a lot. With that being said, there was just a time during this the past year where so many things were. He said, "I'm gonna cry." Oh, I love it. This year, or the past year, with the unrest with George Floyd,
Hmm.
there was just some really nasty things that were said in our community. You
Yeah.
know, some terrible things. Diamond, and those are things that needed to be dealt with, and I think that they came out. There were uh, 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 ads that needed to go out, and people had some discussion about the colorism that was going
Hmm.
on and things like that. But the conversation that was missed was really about the Black females of color that were really excluded as from the scene.
Yeah.
And that story was not being told in the midst of the conversations that were having. We still weren't even at the table of the conversations that were being had.
Hmm.
It was an interesting text that Stacy and myself, Leah, had, and was like, I think our stories need to be told, because this is stuff, especially for Leah and myself. Like I said, this has been going on for over 20 some odd years. We've been in the game that long, and so these were things that needed to be shared. And so our first podcast happened back in June, where it was just us three, and we shared a lot about our stories that we um, things that we went through, and then from there we really shared. We started to invite other guests, other female artists, um, and allow them to share their stories as well too. So it's been an amazing. It's been going on for 7 months now, and so we will be. This is month 8,
Yeah.
and it's been a great opportunity to hear the stories that are very similar.
Hmm.
um, and it's important that the younger ladies that are coming on the scene hear it, because so many, honestly, Diamond, have left the scene
Yes.
because they felt excluded in some kind of way. And the question that I always would ask is, what was it for me that kept me in the game?
Yeah.
What was it that kept me staying here? You know, and them not,
Hmm.
because what they're saying is the same things that I've experienced as well, and probably at a very I don't want to say harder level, but a very trying level, because when you think about it, the only Black female really on stage at that time was Leah.
Yeah.
So, or getting dances. There weren't very many at all out on the scene. So it may even be a different level of frustration
Hmm.
when I was back then than now. So what is it? What was it that kept me in the game and some of these other females leaving? And I always go back to my why.
Mm.
And I wanted to be able to share that and then allow, speaking of the point now, allowing other women to be able to share their story
Hmm.
because no one to be leaving this scene. No one should ever feel like they have to leave because they're not valued or wanted. You
Oh yeah,
know.
yeah. No,
So,
I totally agree.
yeah. So that's really one of the reasons our story needs to be told. And I'm super excited that those ladies on my rock, I love them. They they do some amazing stuff on their own. So yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, listening to those stories, and it's amazing. We actually started both of our podcasts same time, same year, and realizing how much of an impact it has on so many people. Because our experiences, our stories, so many people go through the same things, and those questions arise. Many people that I've talked to have said they've known people that have gone through the same exact situations and completely just leave, and it's very
Mhm.
few of them that actually stay and keep going. But I
Mhm.
think also a big difference between uh, the years previous, 2010, 2009, and now with social media is now your voice can reach more people faster, and that
Yes.
interaction is much different. You talking about your experience through a medium like this, especially if it's live or whenever it's posted, people can reach, interact with you faster, even privately message you and tell you, I've been through the same thing. Thank you for talking
Mhm.
about it because those situations are real. The topics that I talk about with people like Courtney Matthews and so many other dancers, women of
Mhm.
color, many women of color go through that. They go through sexual harassment. And
Mhm.
for me, I've told her as well as many of our artists is that me having my experience as a videographer, I understand because I'm the one filming and people don't get is that with videographers, there's a lot of footage we put out, but there's so much more we don't. Because
Mhm.
there are moments that we capture that you remember. And it's just those moments that you can say, I know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
And it's that's the
Absolutely.
hardest thing of
Absolutely.
yeah, because the
I
same.
mean,
Mhm.
no. What I was going to say, honestly, the my whole career and journey, I believe, would have been totally different if I was accepted more for dances,
Mhm.
social dances. Let's just start there.
Yeah.
Accepted more for social dances, not looked over. If I was, accepted to perform at places, if I was accepted to be I call it the in crowd, like almost like high school, but that my path in this industry would have looked totally different. It wouldn't have been to create different things. And I created an all girl team because I didn't have a partner. I created, hi, Biscuit. I created the Congress because there wasn't room anywhere else for performance. Um, and the other thing that I want to share with that being said, as far as the other part of creating the Congress was to be able to have a platform against social justices and the fight against human trafficking,
Mm.
and that is super important to me. That word got out to our community that human trafficking is real, um, and we have to be on the lookout for it because in the midst of our travels to other congresses, there's a young girl or a young boy who is being trafficked in the airports, in this train station,
Mm.
and just you taking your luggage from the train station to the hotel that you're in, and those are moments there where you are able to notice and know and recognize the red flags and know that you can do something about that. So the Congress had so much more meaning to me than just, trying to make money or to have have people, a whole bunch of, have it be really huge or any of that. It was very strategic in putting something together um, that made everyone feel accepted, but then also make sure that there was a message being told, being
Mm.
said about something that was so important, as trafficking.
Absolutely. I mean, from hearing about where the mission was when you originally started and realizing that over the years your message is only widened from having the initial reason being because you didn't have those opportunities and you wanted to create a platform that gave opportunities to other artists that maybe even felt the same way. And also, like you said, the topic of human trafficking is real. So when we have these type of platforms that can reach the masses, why not talk about the topics that really need to be talked about? Because I tell many people, even though we are performers, even though we travel, we are still real world people in the real world. There are
Mhm.
still real world issues that need to be discussed and talked about. And I definitely think over this past year, like you said, we learned a lot about our community. We
Mhm.
learned about the people that maybe we love dancing with at these events and socials. Now we understood what they really felt. We understood the transparency of many of the people in our community for the good and also for
Mhm.
the bad. But also,
Mhm.
that's what's needed because rather have people not hide behind their own beliefs. I'd rather you be fully honest with me and give me that full honesty and transparency instead of lie to me and
Mhm.
put up a front. And so for
Mhm.
me, I think everything really happens for a reason. With social media, it allows certain people to feel emboldened, and people have to understand whatever you write on social media, whatever the platform is, even if you're doing a video like this, you are subject to criticism.
Mhm.
No matter what you
Absolutely.
say or feel, you can
Absolutely.
put up a post
And
about having.
honestly, no, you're right. I mean, honestly, Diamond, there's people who may feel comfortable with what I'm talking about today. I'm very adamant about making sure that there's representation. And it's nothing that I'm making up, and you can't any no one can deny someone else's truth. you know so we these are conversations that we have to have. Human trafficking is real. Rape and some of the issues that went on in our community was very real. The ugly things that were said throughout the year was very real. And it doesn't why are we ignoring that? Why are we paying money to be at events and things like that if we know that things are coming on? I've been blessed to have artists, share with me because they understood my value in the Congress, in my Congress. They will let me know, hey, you may want to check out this artist that you may have thought of bringing. Like I said, I'm not out there the way I'm out there. So I do want to say this, is that you would hear a lot of people say, we blame the promoters and this and that for bringing people, and I agree with that. I
Mhm.
really do. Your brand is everything. But I do think that it's important that if there's something that if you see something, that you say something, and
Yes,
allow that promoter to be able to address it or to do their research on it. And if they are real about people, if they're real about the dancers and they're real about this community, then they will say something. They will do something about it.
absolutely,
And it
absolutely.
may not be the popular thing. That's it. You know, I call St. Louis the cozy Congress.
Mm,
It's not huge. Bigger don't always mean better.
exactly.
Okay, but quality and people feeling good about being somewhere and feeling safe, that is what's important. So I just, like I said, I've been really blessed to be able to have artists who had my back, during that process, just as much as I'm also looking and making sure that what I stand for and the integrity that I have in the events that I put on, or even the classes that I teach, are up to standard and up to par. So yeah.
Absolutely. And before we get to the randoms, we have my guy, Mr. Norberto Beto
Oh,
Herrera,
Pedro.
saying the unfortunately the industry had no system to condone foul players in the scene. Thank you guys for providing a platform to bring accountability. And things with
Absolutely.
that too, as the scene evolves, now new measures are being able to be taken in order to combat things. People also have to understand as just with everything you've been saying, yes, there are moments and there are people like yourself that are putting in those game plans to create change. Because if we don't start the conversation, we can't make those changes. Because when people are silent, nothing can get accomplished. Many people, we
Mm-hmm.
have all of these discussions, but most of us had these discussions upstairs in the hotel rooms when we were
Mm-hmm.
amongst people we knew. But now, with that type of environment being taken away, it brings us here where we can talk about it. So, in the future, when we do come to some type of normalcy, there we can implement those changes because now organizers and promoters, when they see podcasts like ours, when they see the discussions that we talk about, these are the topics that we wanted you to know about. Now you have the information. It
Mm-hmm.
is up to
Mm-hmm.
you to make that change. We started the conversation. Now you need to find a solution because
Absolutely.
whether it comes from inclusion, whatever community you're a part of, these organizers and promoters need to take that into account because evidently, in order to make money, you need a community to back you. And
Mm-hmm.
what people now realize is what organizers really are doing it for the financial part and really are doing it overall to see the betterment or the
Mm-hmm.
more positive outlook for our community. And now it brings me to our last concluding segment called The Randoms, which is about 10 questions where it allows myself and the audience to get to know you a little bit better. And now, all I need to know is when you are ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Number one, favorite food.
Oh man, I really don't have a favorite food. I like food.
Okay.
I I like food. So if anybody takes me on a date, your money will not be wasted because I will eat.
You know what? I'll change that question. So, for a person who's coming to St. Louis, what is something or a place you'll tell them to go to kind of get that St. Louis feel?
Yeah, they would have to go. We're famous for our toasted raviolis.
Mm,
It would have to be one of the Italian restaurants around here because we're known for toasted raviolis.
okay. Awesome. Next would be besides your own event, what is a outside social congress or event that you would love to be at right now?
That I would love to be at right now. Whoa, man, it's been a while since I've even been out. Maybe Miami Salsa Congress. I
Mm,
haven't been down that way in a year in a while. So it
yeah,
may be that one. Mm-hmm.
definitely. Big shout out also to Leah Patterson on.
Leah, love you, girl.
Yeah, to Norberto saying those toasted raviolis, those are good.
Good stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Next question
yeah.
would be what is a dream vacation destination for you?
Oh man, this is gonna sound really crazy, Diamond. You know what? I've traveled enough where I'm cool. I'm a sister that just likes to look here. This my safe haven is my home. I like it.
You play no games.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think I mean if I have to give you an answer, I would love to go to Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. All right. Next question. What did you want to be at 10 years old?
A doctor.
Ooh, beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
was, yep, a doctor. My undergrad degree is in biology, so I was studying to become a doctor.
Nice. All right. Next question. What's your spirit animal?
Mm. Um, I don't really do the spirit animal thing, but I mean, we are a spirit and we have a soul and we live inside a body. And I my divine is my creator, which is God for me. So um, that would be that's the spirit that I have within me. So I don't,
I would say we could take a page out of Frankie Martinez's book and say, you are your spirit animal.
you know, you know. I have the living God on the inside of me, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But I like tigers though.
Okay. Okay.
I like tigers though.
I'll take that. All right. Next question would be, what is a change? Like right now, if you could have one change when you come back to your dance scene, what would that be? And I know we would have many, but what's one specific change you would want to see?
One specific change that I would like to see is I would like to see a bill that had that was diverse, that took into consideration everyone. I would love to see that.
Hmm, I like it. I like it. All right. Next question. If you could have a superpower, what would that be?
Wow. If I had a superpower, it would be to heal.
Mm,
Every year, even as a child, my prayer always was at Christmas time, if everyone could be healed for Christmas and be well.
mm.
I've prayed that prayer ever since I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I still pray it. I believe it. If everyone could be well, whether it be emotionally or physically or
Mhm.
spiritually, whatever they need healing in, that's what I would want. So yeah, that would be it.
All right. Next question would be is can you give me three people that have been most influential to you at this point in your life? And we can talk about dance related or life in general. And also if it's family related, you can all bunch them into one if you
Like, don't take all night. Oh man, yeah, definitely my family. You know, parents. Like I said, they. Hey, Erica, that's
Erica.
Erica. I love her. I love her.
Yes, with oh my godness, let's
I
go.
know, right? I know. I'm so proud of her. So just so excited for her and her endeavors and her business that she has going on. Yeah, so it would be my family, of course. My mother and father, they've been the backbone for me. I would also have to include Aromia Osborne. And what people don't know about this woman, they should. Everyone in this scene should know her. Um, she's one of the most amazing people who helped actually start congresses in the United States. And she's another Black woman. She's 77 years old and was one of the people who just really pushed Congresses to be here. And
Hmm.
so she's been very instrumental for me in my support and mentor as far as moving forward in this game. So my parents, her, and then somebody in the who else? I'm gonna actually call on a teacher, believe it or not, from high school, and her name was Miss Thomas, and she always would say, "You plan your work and work your plan," and that stuck with me throughout my life to always be strategic and intentional about everything that you do. And so plan your work and work your plan. and have two or three plans that back up your plan so that you can always be able to move forward. So those will be the three people.
Mm, I love it. All right, next question. Our second and last one would be, what is a special talent that you have that many people wouldn't know?
Mm. I was I would think people, what a lot of people don't know or realize that I'm a life coach.
Mm,
So just being able to have the ability to listen to people and to help them navigate through things and help them define who they are. So I think that's one thing that people don't know about me.
all right. And the last question I have is called the island question. And it goes like this: you're on an island, but disclaimer, you do not have Wi Fi. What are three things that you would have to have with you?
um, no, my family number one. I'm very family oriented, so they would definitely have to be there. Um, some food.
I mean, you can't go anywhere without some food.
Need some food, most definitely.
Some
And
toasted raviolis everywhere.
just some food and mm, the third one. Wow. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm just gonna say maybe some movie, some music or something to. Oh no, there is no Wi-Fi, right? Or anything. Maybe just something to read or something. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm so full with my family and the food. That
I think that's good enough.
yeah, that covers it pretty well.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you again, Carmen, for doing this awesome segment. I love doing it, and I definitely learned a lot more about you. But I would also say before we close out is when you talked about healing, and when I talked about the question of the superpower, and I would say honestly, especially with this event you've been doing since 2010, you've been doing so much healing, realizing
Mm.
you may not know it of so many people that have gone in and out of your event and realizing there are probably many people that specifically would go to your event to escape from their reality for that weekend. They can get
Mm.
away and not worry about their troubles at home, not worry about their work. They can just go to your event and have a great time and escape from what they're normally used to. So I would definitely say you've been definitely a healing worker for many years, even if you don't know it. And, you truly, I would consider a pillar to your community because everything you've been able to do, everything you've sacrificed, everything you put into it. Um, so many people have received your event so well and only speak highly of it. So I definitely would say you've had that superpower for many years now.
Oh wow! I thank you, and I receive that because that has always been a prayer as well, is to make sure everyone comes safely and to have a good time, maybe even get stress relief or whatever. But then also I pray that everybody gets home safely. And I, I actually have artists like their mom or something. I actually have artists call me and let me know that they made it home safe.
Yeah.
Text me or something. So that's always been, yeah. So I appreciate you saying that, and I received that.
Absolutely. And, now it brings us to the conclusion of our interview. And I would definitely say tonight, I've learned so much more about you. I've gained a new appreciation for you and realizing a woman like yourself that went through many obstacles in the earlier days, but that didn't allow you or deter you from what you wanted to accomplish. And like you said, there have been many people you've known of or heard of can have those experiences and it can truly just turn them away, but realizing a person like yourself persevered, was able to have a successful event from starting from 2010, even going forward, even before COVID, and realizing how much you've been impactful, how much you've influenced your community and abroad, from also you meeting outside dancers from other cities, connecting with them, and forming those relationships, and
Mhm.
bringing them to your place, and having people uh, get to understand them like you do. And I definitely feel
Mhm.
tonight, like I said earlier, I've gained a new love, appreciation, and respect for you because you are the trailblazers of our community. Because years later, I know there will be another woman of color that owns an event and that can say she learned from you. Because when people don't see a person in that position, they don't think it can happen. But we
Mhm.
see now we have a female, black female vice president, and many
Yeah,
people thought that would never happen. And for
absolutely.
me, when you can see those changes, the possibilities are endless. So, Carmen, I truly thank you tonight for coming on. But at least before we do go, I would love to know if you had any last few words for myself and the audience, but also any contact info on how maybe people can reach you for maybe any future projects that you have coming up.
Absolutely. The message that I would give to everyone is be true to yourself. Um, don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to who you are. You have to live with you, and that's super important. Um, be true to you, and you go further. It may not be popular, but you will go further because you'll be so rooted and grounded in who you are that no one can knock you out of your truth. Um, and there are several different things that are going on with me right now, but you could definitely reach me for the St. Louis Salsa Congress, and it's at stlsalsafest.com. So you can definitely reach there to get any updates on the festivals that are going on. We have I have a virtual festival that's coming up at the end of this month called the Black Love
Yeah.
Virtual Festival, and it's really showcasing and highlighting some of the amazing African American artists who are in our industry that you may not even know that they are in our industry. So and you can find that information at the website stlsalsafest.com as well.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
also for the Black
And
Love.
I do teach classes too.
Yeah, and tell you this, Carmen, please let me know any events that you have coming up. I would love to share on my platform and elsewhere to get those messages and that information out. And again, Carmen, I thank you for a lovely night. Me out here in New York,
Thank you.
snowstorm. You out there in St. Louis. Hopefully, uh, you're in your safe space. You're in the place we love to be. So again, I hope you and everyone here that's tuned in stay safe. Everyone, please
Absolutely.
have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow with another episode of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast.
Absolutely. Stay
Thank you,
blessed,
everyone.
Hyman, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Carmen, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in.